Exposed, the incredible journey of a life-changing organ that revealed hidden connections. Emily McCoy never imagined that a single phone call could change her life forever. She stood in the small hospital waiting room, the chill of autumn seeping through the walls, when her phone rang. Her heart raced as she answered, the voice on the other end explaining that she was a match for a kidney transplant for a young man named Tom. In that moment, Emily's world, a world filled with relentless bills, two spirited kids, and aching loneliness, swirled into a chaotic storm of hope. A life lay in the balance, her decision could save it. The irony of it struck her. Here she was, a struggling single mom from a tight-knit town in the heartland, holding the key to life for a wealthy family living miles away. As she looked at the old photographs of her late husband, a local veteran who had dedicated himself to service, she felt a surge of determination rise within her. Compassion couldn't be boxed into income levels, it was a raw, visceral force that transcended economic divides. But as news of the impending donation spread through her small town, the whispers followed like a cold draft. A judgmental murmur swept through the local diners, and folks began commenting on the donation like it was a soap opera. What does she want? Money? Fame? The laughter, the discontent, Emily felt it all, piercing through her. Yet, deep down, the memory of her husband's kindness fueled her resolve. He had always said, "Give without expecting anything in return." Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. The town hall meeting was usually a quiet affair, the crowd mild and sleepy, but that day, it was electric. Voices rose in passionate debates, neighbors at odds over economic class, questioning Emily's motives with pointed jabs. But then, shaking with the weight of her emotions and the responsibility that lay before her, Emily stood up. The room fell silent, eyes fixed on her. "I understand you're skeptical," she began, her voice catching in her throat. "But this isn't about money or status, it's about life. We're a community. It's about people. And Tom needs our help, our compassion." The room vibrated with tension, and for the first time, the walls separating them began to crumble. As eyes softened and murmurs grew more supportive, Emily could sense the shift. Maybe, just maybe, unity was possible. Yet, her heart thudded with urgency. Just as hope rose, she learned in a chilling twist that Tom's health was deteriorating fast, time slipping through their fingers. Would they rise to the challenge, or would this once-in-a-lifetime chance vanish? Emily had never felt such urgency. As she looked at her children, she realized the stakes were higher than ever. Would they hold strong together in the face of this crisis? The bonds forged could mean the difference between life and death. Emily's heart raced as she left the town hall, the weight of the world pressing on her chest. The supportive murmurs reverberated in her mind, but fear clawed at her stomach. Tom's condition was worsening. Time became an invisible monster on her shoulder, creeping ever closer. In the days that followed, Emily found herself waking in the middle of the night, the quiet of her home shattered by thoughts of Tom. She could see his face in her mind, a face she'd never met but now felt tethered to. Her kids' soft breaths filled the silence, a gentle reminder of the lives intertwined in miracles and struggles. Determined to rally support, Emily organized a fundraiser, filling the community center with vibrant colors and hopeful chatter. Banners hung like stalwart flags, declaring "Together for Tom." Local businesses donated goods while her neighbors baked treats, some even volunteering to host events for memorabilia. An electric buzz surrounded her, igniting something deep within. As she moved through the crowd, Emily felt a spark of warmth from her previously skeptical neighbors. Old Mrs. Jensen, who had stood with her arms crossed during the town hall meeting, approached with a plate of cookies. "I didn't know you had this in you, Emily," she said, her voice softening. A flicker of redemption danced in Mrs. Jensen's eyes. "Thank you for supporting us," Emily replied, surprised by the sincerity of the moment. The warmth spread quickly, and soon conversations filled the room, tales of how they all could help Tom, how they all could be a part of something greater. But as the evening unfolded, Emily's thoughts circled back to her children. Their laughter echoed in her ears, playing games in another room. Images of her husband flashed through her mind, his proud smile, offering guidance and strength. Was she doing the right thing? Would they truly be safe? That night, after everyone left, Emily cleared the remnants of the event. Exhausted but hopeful, she noticed her son's drawing strewn across the table. One caught her eye. It depicted a family holding hands, each character sporting the same big heart. Tears pricked at her eyes. In that drawing, they were not just a family, they were connected by love, determined to be there for one another. But even as hope blossomed, Emily learned another harsh truth: Tom's family was struggling to bear the cost of his medical care, leaving them feeling helpless and isolated. A knot formed in her stomach. How much more could she ask her community to do? Would they still be there for Tom after the initial excitement faded? With the fundraiser success, Emily decided to reach out to Tom's parents, introducing herself in a heartfelt letter. They deserved to know that their son was not alone, that someone across miles cared deeply for his life. But as she wrote the letter, a sickening doubt simmered beneath her resolve. What if they rejected her, dismissed her intentions as mere charity? What if her heartfelt approach turned into one of pity rather than solidarity? Just then, her phone chimed, breaking her thoughts. It was a message from the hospital. A mix of emotions surged as she read it: urgent, pleading. Tom was declining rapidly. The clock was ticking louder now, echoing in the stillness of the night. Would her bravery and the strength of her community rise to meet this moment? Or had the time for kindness run out? As she looked out the window, the stars twinkled like distant hopes, and she wondered if they were signaling a bigger destiny ahead. Emily knew she had to act swiftly, and hope weighed heavy in her heart. Would she find just the right moment to unite their efforts, or was this hope merely a glimmer of light against an overwhelming darkness? Emily's hands trembled as she sat down at her kitchen table, the hospital's message still fresh in her mind. She could feel the pulse of urgency throbbing in her temples. Tom needed a miracle, and in her heart, she knew she had to be part of that miracle. She grabbed a pen and a blank sheet of paper, staring at the white space for what felt like an eternity. The words were jumbled in her mind, colliding with her fears and aspirations. Finally, she began to write, pouring her heart onto the page. "Dear Mr. and Mrs. Miller," she penned, letting the words flow like a river of compassion. "I'm Emily, and while I have never met your son, I feel a connection that is impossible to ignore." Her thoughts drifted while she wrote. She envisioned the worry written across Tom's parents' faces. How would they feel knowing someone from so far away cared? She wanted to swim through the miles separating them, to place her hand on their shoulders and offer hope. The letter carefully crafted, she sealed it with a sense of urgency. She quickly made arrangements to send it, not allowing herself a moment of hesitation. Each minute felt like a race against time. Later that evening, as dusk settled, Emily gathered her children on the couch. "I have something important to talk about," she said, her voice steady yet laced with vulnerability. The kids looked up, expectant and curious. "You know how sometimes people need help? Well, there's a little boy named Tom who's really sick, and his family needs our help too," she explained, her heart swelling with pride knowing they were learning empathy with every word she spoke. Her daughter, Lily, bit her lip and nodded solemnly. "Can we help him, Mom?" "Absolutely. We're going to keep doing everything we can," Emily assured, ruffling her daughter's hair. "That's awesome, Mom." Her son, Jake, chimed in. "Can we bake cookies again?" "Of course. We'll make a whole batch." She smiled at their enthusiasm, but deep within, anxiety churned. Would the efforts of these sweet kids be enough? Days passed, and Emily's hope grew heavier. The community rallied around her, yet uncertainty nagged at her stomach as she realized they were working against the clock. She decided to try something different. A local online campaign. Something that would reach more people, gather a larger buzz. She knew social media could be a powerful tool. After hours of hard work, Emily posted a heartfelt video, sharing Tom's story and the dire need for support. She recorded herself speaking, little Jake doing his best to hold the camera steady. "Every life counts. Together, we can make a difference," she spoke, unwavering, each word filled with raw emotion. The moment she hit post, dread washed over her. Would people respond? Would they open their hearts? But she didn't have to wait long. As notifications flickered on her screen, excitement and anxiety numbed her mind. Friends shared, strangers commented, and within hours, donations poured in. Emily's pulse quickened, the relief flooding her heart. The community was coming together, just as she'd hoped. Yet in the flurry of good news, a gnawing fear settled in the back of her mind. Was this just the beginning? What if the donations were too little, too late? Just then, another message arrived on her phone, a direct message from someone who claimed to be Tom's close friend. Emily's breath caught in her throat. What did they want to tell her? As she stared at the screen, a mix of anticipation and dread coursed through her veins. She knew deep down that this communication could change everything. Could this be the pivotal moment they needed, or would it unravel all that they had built together? One thing was for sure: Emily was willing to face whatever challenge lay ahead for Tom. And she wasn't going to back down now. With a deep breath, she opened the message, ready to uncover the next chapter of this emotional journey. What awaited her on the other side could rewrite the rules of kindness and connection in ways she never expected. The screen lit up, revealing a message from Ben, a name Emily recognized as one from the comments section of her last post. "Hi Emily. I'm Ben, Tom's friend. Can we talk? I have something important to share about Tom's situation." Emily's heart raced. She could feel her palms growing sweaty. Something important? What could it be? Thoughts darted through her mind like a whirlwind. Did this mean the donations were not enough? Did Ben have news that could change everything? Taking a deep breath, she typed back, "Hi Ben. Yes, absolutely. What do you know?" Moments felt like hours as she waited for his reply. Finally, her phone buzzed again. "Tom's condition is really serious right now. He hasn't been responding well to treatments. There is something I think you can help with." A cold chill crept down Emily's spine. She steadied herself. "What can I do? Tom needs a new heart, but his family couldn't afford the operation. I've seen your video and the community's response is amazing, but I believe we can do more. Would you be willing to help raise awareness for organ donation?" Emily's mind raced. Awareness for organ donation. It was bigger than a fundraiser, it was about life and death. But how could she balance this with everything else? Her kids, the school, her own job, the overwhelming uncertainty. Yet she felt a spark ignite inside her, a flicker of hope. "Yes, I'm in," she typed back, her determination surging. "Let us do this." After their conversation, she put the phone down and stared out the window. The sunset cast a warm glow over the neighborhood. A community that once felt small now seemed vast and full of potential. Tom's story needed to be told. She thought about all the families who'd already stepped forward to support, and now, it was time to take a deeper step. That evening, after tucking her kids into bed, Emily sat at her desk with a fresh sheet of paper and her laptop open. She wrote down her thoughts, her strategies. She decided to launch a campaign for organ donation awareness within their community, reaching out to local hospitals and organizations. The next morning, she contacted a renowned pediatric cardiologist and asked if he'd help her shed light on the importance of organ donation, especially in cases like Tom's. She shared Tom's story, alongside her vision, and to her surprise, he agreed to meet. As they exchanged ideas, the doctor's unwavering passion ignited further resolve in Emily. "I can set up a seminar, where you can speak about Tom. We'll invite the community to understand the urgency and meet the families affected by waits on the transplant list." Emily nodded, the weight of her purpose grounding her. Together, they began to formulate a plan. The seminar would not only raise awareness but would also educate everyone on how they could become involved. Days turned into frantic weeks as Emily coordinated with schools and community centers. Local businesses donated space, resources, and even food for the event. Seats filled up quickly, and excitement stirred in the community. But just as everything was coming together, another message from Ben came through. "Emily, I have some more news about Tom. Can we meet?" This time, the urgency in his words shook her. What more could he possibly have to say? Her heart sank. She knew that more revelations were waiting to be uncovered, and they might be just as significant as Tom's heart journey itself. Would they be enough to rally the community further, or would they add even more weight to the burden she already felt? With her heart racing, she prepared to face whatever news Ben had. Who knew what awaited her in this new chapter? Would it be a path to life or another heartbreaking twist? Emily barely slept that night, each second dragging as she wrestled with the anticipation of meeting Ben. The morning sun peeked through her curtains, casting a gentle glow across the room, but its warmth did little to ease the chill in her heart. She felt as if the weight of the world pressed down on her shoulders. With her kids safely at school, she grabbed her keys and headed out. The drive to the cafe where they'd agreed to meet felt surreal. Each stoplight seemed to stretch into infinity, amplifying her anxiety. What could Ben possibly have to share that was so urgent? As she entered the cafe, the familiar aroma of coffee enveloped her, but it did little to ease the knot in her stomach. She spotted Ben at a corner table, shifting nervously. He looked up as she approached, and the worry etched on his face sent her heart swirling. "Thanks for meeting me, Emily," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Of course. What is going on?" she replied, taking a seat across from him. He took a deep breath, his hands fidgeting with the edge of the table. I've been talking to Tom's family, and there's a lot more to the story than we realized." Emily leaned in, her heart pounding. "What do you mean?" Tom was in a clinical trial for a new medication that was supposed to improve his condition. But it seems he's been overlooked for a spot on the transplant list due to a paperwork issue. His family thought they had everything figured out, but it fell through the cracks. Emily's breath caught in her throat. "So, he isn't even on the list? How is that possible?" "That's what we need to address," Ben said, urgency in his eyes. "There's a chance to appeal, but the family is overwhelmed and scared. They need help navigating this process. And if we can get the community involved, we might be able to elevate the situation so that he gets the help he needs." The weight of Ben's words settled heavily in the air between them. Emily could feel her pulse quicken, thoughts racing. Could they really make a difference? Would a community rally behind something so complex? "Let us set up a community meeting right before the seminar," she suggested, excitement threading through her voice. "We can raise awareness about Tom's situation while also educating them about organ donation. If we can shed light on his case, maybe it will spark a greater conversation about the importance of the transplant process." Ben's eyes lit up with cautious hope. "That could work. If we can mobilize people, they might help push for Tom's appeal." Emily finished his thought, determination swelling within her. They spent the next hour planning, scribbling notes, and drafting a new message for the community. Emily felt invigorated, her apprehension transforming into a surge of purpose. For the first time in days, her mind was clear. As they finalized their plans, Ben suddenly turned serious again. "Emily, there's one more thing. It's about the family. They've been struggling financially too. If we can rally support, both for Tom's medical needs and their living situation, it could make a huge difference." A pang of empathy struck Emily. Yes, it's not just about Tom's health. They're dealing with so much. They shared stories about how their own families had pulled together during tough times, the laughter dissolving some of the heaviness. But the underlying urgency remained. As they parted, Emily felt a newfound determination. The community wasn't just an audience, they were potential changemakers. She tapped her fingers against her steering wheel, her mind racing with ideas. It was time to turn things around for Tom, but she couldn't shake the feeling of dread that lingered. What else could go wrong? And when she returned home, she found an unexpected message on her phone that would change everything again. Emily, you need to hear this. It's about Tom's health. A new thread in this already tangled story was about to unravel. What could it be now? Emily stared at the screen of her phone, her heart pounding. The message felt heavy with implications. She inhaled deeply, trying to steady her racing thoughts before replying. Who sent this? She typed, her fingers trembling. A moment later, her screen buzzed, revealing a name she hadn't seen in a while. Lisa, an old college friend turned health advocate. Just got off the phone with someone who knows Tom's situation intimately. Call me. With a mix of urgency and dread, Emily dialed Lisa's number, her pulse racing as she imagined what might be waiting at the other end. After a few rings, Lisa picked up, her voice filled with an energy that made Emily sit up straighter. Emily. Thank goodness you called. I've been following the transplant stories closely since my uncle's situation years ago. You won't believe what I just found out, Lisa said, barely allowing a breath in the middle of her enthusiasm. Emily grasped onto her words, needing to make sense of the whirlwind. What do you know about Tom? There's a possibility. Lisa paused, as if taking a moment to gather her thoughts, that there's an available organ that could work for him. A young man unfortunately passed away in an accident, and his family is in the process of donating his organs. Emily's heart raced even faster. But how does that help Tom? His case was flagged because of that paperwork issue, right? But if we can prove that there's real urgency, it might push his case higher up the list. His name can't just remain lost in the system, Lisa urged. The implications of Lisa's revelation washed over Emily like a cool wave. So, we need to act fast. Yes. We should investigate the donor situation, make sure Tom's case is prioritized. This is what we can present at the community meeting. Emily's mind raced, plotting the next steps. She could see the pieces align. I'll gather the family together, and we can share what you found. If we can legitimize the urgency, it might help them push for Tom's appeal even faster. Exactly. Mobilizing community support could shift the momentum, Lisa encouraged, enthusiasm reverberating through the phone. As they hung up, a fresh wave of determination surged within Emily. She had spent so long feeling powerless, but now, everything felt different. She was no longer just a bystander in this story, she was part of a greater purpose. Gathering her things, she moved with purpose. As she picked up her keys and stepped outside, the late afternoon sun painted the sky in hues of orange and pink, a beautiful distraction amidst the chaos. She could see the flicker of hope on the horizon. Arriving at Tom's family's home, she found his mother sitting in the living room, her face drawn and tired. The weight of their situation was palpable, but as Emily explained the potential breakthrough, she saw a spark ignite in her eyes. Are you sure this is real? Do we really have a chance? Tom's mother asked, hope and fear colliding in her voice. I believe we do. But we need to act quickly. It's time for everyone to come together, Emily replied, her heart aching with empathy for the woman who faced insurmountable odds. As they began rallying the family, the sense of urgency became infectious. Phone calls were made, texts were sent, and a flurry of activity unfolded. Emily felt alive, each moment filled with a convergence of hope and anxiety. But just as she was about to finalize details for the community meeting, her phone buzzed again. A text from Ben appeared, reading, Emily, we need to talk. Something's changed with Tom's case and icy fear washed over her. What more could happen? They had just begun to fight. Emily's stomach twisted as she realized this battle was far from over. What was about to unfold could change everything. Emily steadied herself, her heart pounding louder than ever. The text from Ben hung in the air, dripping with implications. She quickly typed, what changed? Is it bad? The suspense was unbearable. Had something gone wrong? Had the potential organ donor situation slipped through their fingers? Her thoughts raced with all the possibilities, each more disheartening than the last. Moments later, Ben's response came through, "Can I come over?" "It's too complicated to text." She felt a mix of dread and anticipation as she replied, "Of course." "Hurry." Within minutes, she heard a knock at the door. Instinctively, she opened it, revealing Ben's pale face. His eyes were clouded with worry, and Emily's stomach sank. "What's happening?" she asked, stepping back to let him in. Ben shut the door and ran a hand through his hair. "I just got off the phone with the hospital. They've discovered that there were errors in Tom's medical records. It's connected to the donor." Her heart sank. "What kind of errors?" "He's low priority on the list," Ben explained, his voice heavy. "They think the errors might delay everything. They weren't supposed to flag him like this, but it puts him at an even greater disadvantage. They're saying he might have to wait longer." Emily felt a wave of despair wash over her. She had just convinced everyone that there was hope. Now, that hope felt like a distant flicker. "So, what do we do? We can't let him slip away." "That's why I came here," Ben said, his voice growing stronger. "I believe we can appeal this. We need to gather more information and present it all to the hospital. If we can show them he has pressing needs, maybe we can fast-track his case." Emily's heart surged with a mix of gratitude and determination. "How do we do that?" Ben shifted, his hands clenching into fists. "We need to dig into Tom's medical history, talk to the right advocates, maybe even reach out to the donor's family if they're willing. But time is critical." As they brainstormed next steps, an idea struck Emily. "What if we organize a gathering? We can invite the community, share Tom's story, and gather support. I know once they hear it and see the urgency, they'll help push the hospital to take action." Ben nodded slowly, a spark igniting behind his eyes. "Yes. If we can show how much we care, they might see it too. It's worth a shot." They spent the next hour compiling the information they needed, their voices a tapestry of urgent whispers, fueled by desperation and hope. Invitations flew out via text while Emily's mind filled with visions of people coming together, neighbors, friends, family, all rallying behind Tom like a human shield of strength. As they wrapped up, Ben's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and paled. "It's from the hospital. They want to speak to us immediately." Emily's heart raced. What could they want? Is it about Tom? Ben nodded grimly. "It's time to find out." Holding her breath, she planted her feet firmly on the floor. This could be the turning point they needed or the moment everything crumbled. Before either could say another word, Ben pressed the call button, and the sound of the hospital's voice crackled through the speaker. "Mr. and Mrs. Carter, thank you for calling back. We have urgent news regarding Tom's case." Emily's palms were clammy, her heart pounding in her chest. She didn't know whether to feel excitement or dread. Could this be the breakthrough they needed, or would it send them spiraling into despair again? The air hung thick with tension as they waited for the inevitable reveal. Would they get a lifeline, or were they about to face another heart-wrenching blow? Just as she was about to speak, Ben's expression shifted dramatically. "Wait, what did you just say?" Emily's breath hitched. Something was about to change everything. "Mr. and Mrs. Carter," the voice continued, steady but laden with gravity. "We have received confirmation from the donor's family that they are willing to reconsider their decision about the transplant." Emily's heart raced, hope flickering back to life. "What does that mean?" she asked, barely managing to keep her voice steady. Ben's grip tightened around the phone as he leaned closer. "Are you saying the donor is still a possibility for Tom? That we might speed up his process?" "Yes," the voice replied, quickening with urgency. "However, to pursue this, we need to clarify the discrepancies in Tom's medical records. You'll need to provide any additional documentation you can secure as soon as possible. Otherwise, the appeal will not hold up." A mix of disbelief and excitement washed over Emily. "We will get it. Where do we start?" The determination in her voice felt like a roar, drowning out the nagging doubts. "Contact his primary care physician immediately. They should have the up-to-date records. And you might want to speak with the social worker here at the hospital. They could assist in coordinating the appeal process. Thank you, Ben said, his tone firm. He hung up, his face illuminated with a spark of hope. We can do this. We have a chance. Shaking off her anxiety, Emily grabbed her phone, fingers flying over the screen. I'll call Dr. Stevens. You find the social worker. Their frantic energy filled the room, each working towards a single purpose. Emily's mind raced with thoughts of Tom, laying in that hospital bed, holding on to the threadbare hope of a second chance. She could picture him smiling, healthy, back to the easy laughter that filled their shared moments. Moments later, Emily hung up after a frantic call to the doctor's office. Dr. Stevens will meet us in an hour with the records, she announced, her heart pounding with anticipation. Ben nodded, urgency pushing him forward. All right, I'll get in touch with the social worker. He slid into the next room, voice dropping to a serious tone as Emily imagined the conversation taking place. Alone for a brief moment, Emily inhaled deeply, fighting back the emotions that threatened to overwhelm her. Her hands shook as she thought of Tom, his laughter, his kindness, the way he always found a reason to smile. And now, if they managed this, the door swung back open as Ben re-entered, his face a mixture of determination and anxiety. The social worker is on her way too. We'll meet her at the hospital when we go to pick up the records. Perfect, Emily replied, her voice steadying as excitement surged through her veins. We have to make them see. We have to make them recognize how important this is for Tom. Yes, Ben agreed, his voice firm. If we gather support from the community and present everything clearly, they have to listen. Their plans solidified, Emily and Ben worked together to craft a presentation. They wanted to highlight Tom's story, his dreams, their friendship, all of it driving home the urgency for the hospital to act. As they typed the gathering invitation, Ben's phone buzzed again. It's from the advocacy group, Ben said, scanning the message. His eyes widened. They're willing to help us, but they want a meeting soon. Let us set it up. Emily said, heart racing again. There was still so much to do, but the warmth of hope wrapped around her. Together, they could make it happen. And just like that, she felt a surge of clarity amid the chaos. They could be the voice for Tom, shining light on the details that others might overlook. As they prepared to leave, her phone chimed one last time. It was a text from Tom's sister. I heard about the gathering, can I help? I want to do anything I can for him. Emily felt a rush of tears at the thought of everyone coming together. Of course, she responded, every voice counts. Ben smiled, a spark igniting in his eyes. We need all the voices we can find. And with that, Emily felt a difference in the air. They weren't just fighting for Tom anymore. They were rallying everyone around him. As they stepped into the bright afternoon sun, she felt buoyed by the collective spirit of hope. But just as they crossed the threshold, another message pinged on Ben's phone. His face hardened as he read it. It's from the hospital. They want to know if we've gathered enough support. Emily held her breath, realizing this could determine everything. Would their community rally with enough strength to change Tom's fate? Or would doubt creep back, casting shadows once more? The warmth of the sun was almost a stark contrast to the chill rolling down Emily's spine. Ben held his phone, staring at the screen as if the words might change if he looked hard enough. She could see the conflict in his eyes, the flicker of concern that clashed with the hope they'd been clinging to. Do you think we have enough? Emily finally asked, her voice soft but edged with worry. I mean, what if we didn't? I don't know, Ben admitted, finally lowering the phone. But we can't let that stop us. We've got to try. They stepped outside, the cool breeze brushing against their cheeks, invigorating yet eerie. The vibrant colors of spring around them seemed so alive, so contradictory to the despair resting heavy in their hearts. Let us stick to the plan, Emily said, shaking off the gloom that dared to settle. We will gather every bit of support we can and show the hospital how many people stand behind Tom. Yeah, let us do it, Ben echoed, determination flashing in his eyes once more. As they walked down the street towards the hospital, Emily's mind was flooded with memories of Tom. How he always knew how to lighten the mood, how his laughter could dissolve tension faster than a summer storm. This fight was not just hers and Ben's, it was a fight for him and for joy itself. As they reached the hospital, the familiar scents and sounds enveloped them. The sterile smell of antiseptic mixed with faint coffee and the beeping of monitors created a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. They made their way to the social worker's office, desperation driving their pace. "Emily." "Ben." A voice called out. It was Sarah, the social worker, slightly out of breath but smiling warmly. "I've been following your progress. I know time's ticking, but I believe we can turn this around." "Thank you for being here," Emily said, her voice steadying as she felt a spark of camaraderie. "We need to present clear support from the community, letters, voices, anything we can get." "Let us go over what you have so far," Sarah said, gesturing for them to sit. Emily pulled out her notebook, filled with jotted names and plans. But just as she began to speak, her phone vibrated against the table. It was a group chat she shared with their close friends. She opened it, heart racing. There, in bold letters, were the words, "We're ready to help. Just say the word." A surge of happiness washed over her. "They want to support us," she exclaimed, showing Ben the screen. "That's amazing." He beamed, wrapping an arm around her shoulder. "If we can get them to show up to the meeting with the hospital suddenly," Sarah's eyes brightened as the idea struck her. "We should organize a gathering, a rally. Can you invite everyone? If they can show up in force, that will speak volumes." "Yes. We can do that." Emily's heart raced again. The idea of a sea of familiar faces rallying for Tom felt powerful, almost electrifying. They quickly started planning. Social media posts, phone calls, flyers distributed throughout the community. Each connection, each shout-out fueled their fire. Emily could feel the momentum building, but the ticking clock loomed above them like an ominous reminder. As evening settled in, they sent out the last wave of invitations, excitement mixed with anxiety swirling within Emily. Could this community actually come together like they believed? But just when they thought they were on the brink of something wonderful, Ben's phone buzzed with another notification. He checked it, his face falling just as quickly as it had lit up. "It's the hospital. They want specifics on the support we've gathered and a timeline." Emily's heart sank. What if we don't have enough by the deadline? Ben took a deep breath, determination shimmering in his gaze. "Emily, we need to keep going. We can't stop now. Let us make sure this rally is unforgettable." As they prepared to launch their campaign into the night, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that this fight was just beginning. Would they summon the community's spirit in time? What if their efforts weren't enough? Tomorrow would be crucial. As they left the social worker's office, she wondered if they could truly unite everyone for the one person they all loved. Perhaps the answer lay just beyond the horizon of their hopes. The day of the community rally dawned bright and crisp, the kind of morning that felt full of potential. Emily's heart raced as she stepped outside, glancing at the colorful banners flapping in the gentle wind, a vivid plea for compassion and support. She could already hear the buzz of voices and laughter anew, but beneath it all hovered an undercurrent of urgency. Would this be enough? Arriving at the community center, she found people streaming in with boxes of baked goods, handmade signs, and determined hearts. Friends and neighbors she didn't even know she had were coming together, each one carrying the weight of hope on their shoulders. She felt a swell of emotion as she scanned the room, reconnecting with the very essence of her small town. This was their spirit, so much stronger together. "Hey, Emily," called out old Mr. Thompson, a local farmer with hands calloused from years of hard work. He held out a plate of cookies. "Just a little something for the folks who gave a damn." "Thank you, Mr. Thompson," Emily said, warmed by the gesture. His sincerity felt like a balm to her nerves. Every cookie counts. As the clock ticked down, she stood at the front with Ben and Sarah, organizing the packed room. People filled every chair, and the energy sparkled like electricity in the air. "Remember, be direct, be passionate, but most importantly be united," Sarah said, her voice resonating with purpose. Emily nodded, feeling fortified by everyone's presence. When the time finally came for her to speak, she rose, her palms clammy yet ignited with fire. "Thank you all for coming," she began, her voice strong with emotion. "Today, we gather not just for a little boy named Tom, but for every person who has ever felt carried away by uncertainty. We stand to reclaim hope." Cheers erupted, and a familiar face emerged from the crowd, Tom's mother, her eyes glistening with tears. Her presence reminded Emily what was at stake, a life threadbare yet overflowing with potential. "I need each of you to know something crucial," Emily continued, her voice rising passionately. "Tom's road to recovery relies on us. Our hearts. Our voices. We might be a town, a community, but today, we're one family." The crowd responded with more cheers, some clasping hands, others wiping away emotional tears. It felt like they were on the verge of something miraculous. The rally progressed, stories shared, and laughter mingled with tears. Each speaker offered their own tales of connection, reminiscing about the warmth Tom had brought into their lives. The room vibrated with a chorus of community love, echoing the intrinsic truth that kindness knows no barriers. Just when Emily thought it couldn't get better, Ben stepped up, his voice powerful. "I've seen the strength you all possess. Let us use it to ignite love beyond our town. To show the hospital that we won't back down, and we won't be ignored." He unveiled a tapestry of letters they had gathered over the last few days, each a beacon of support and love directed toward Tom. A collective gasp filled the room. As they shared the final heartfelt message from Tom's sister, tears streamed down Emily's face. It was raw and beautiful, capturing a young boy's light and his family's enduring bravery. And as the applause swelled, Emily knew they had planted seeds of change. The crowd began forming a petition to the hospital administration echoing with unity, a call for comprehensive awareness on their local news, all while raising funds to ensure Tom's family had the support they needed, advocating for both medical and emotional resources. The atmosphere shifted. People were determined. Here, amidst the whispers of doubt and echoing questions about community spirit, there arose a new understanding. They held the power to lift each other up. With the momentum captivating everyone in the room, Emily couldn't help but feel that they were blazing something revolutionary. This wasn't just about Tom anymore. It was about redefining what it meant to belong, to care, and to fight fiercely for those they loved. The day came to an end with a final gathering, and the electric buzz of hope hung thick in the air. Tom would know love when he awoke, not just from his family but from an entire town that stood as one. As they wrapped everything up, Emily received a message on her phone. It was from the hospital. They wanted to reiterate their commitment to addressing Tom's case personally, thanking the community for the overwhelming support. Emily felt the tension in her chest ease just a fraction, but she knew the work wasn't done yet. In that moment, she understood what the journey had been all about: connection, empowerment, and the power of coming together, regardless of background or circumstance. They were the heart of America, they were family. And they wouldn't stop until every child like Tom could feel loved and valued. As she and Ben cleaned up the last remnants of the rally, her heart felt impossibly full. They had changed the narrative. "Let us keep going, Emily," Ben said, grinning, excitement dancing in his eyes. "Yes," Emily replied, her spirit soaring. "This is just the beginning." With hope shining bright, she knew one thing for sure: love always prevails, and they were ready to take on anything. Now more than ever, they would shout their message to the world, raising awareness, lifting voices, uniting hearts. And in that unity, a miracle for Tom was waiting just around the corner. It was time to act. Before the sun dipped below the horizon, she pulled out her phone one last time. "Everyone needs to hear this. Let us spread the word." And with that unity, they transformed what once was fear into fierce determination, a catalyst for change. If you're inspired by this incredible journey of empathy and transformation, you need to subscribe now. Don't miss out on exclusive stories that uplift and bring us all closer together. Leave a like to fuel the algorithm and keep this amazing message alive. Comment below with your feelings and reactions to this emotional ending. And share this uplifting story instantly with 5 friends who need to feel this hope. Show your support because only true fans can understand the importance of sticking together in times of need. Don't wait not even one more second to share this message.